to episode 11 of the Career Advice You Never Had podcast, where I provide you the career advice, education, and support you missed out on in your career journey. I'm your host, Angela, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different and going through the mid-year review. It's all about reflecting and preparing, checking in on where you're at. We are in June, almost heading into July. So this is a chance for you to stop, pause, and reflect. This is also going to be streamed on YouTube. So if you're a bit more of a visual, you might like to switch over to YouTube, go through the slides. You are free to press pause when needed as you're going through this in Spotify. You might like to listen to it. You might like to play it back at some point where you actually can take notes, where you can press pause and have a really good think about where you're at. So whatever you choose will be right for you, and let's get into it. This is all about reflecting and preparing. This is an add-on to my Reflect and Prepare that I do at the end of each year that you'll also find on my YouTube channel for 2024. So this is the mid part of the year where we're going to take that time to just check in on how we're going. So within this workshop, within this podcast episode, I really want to bring you to the present moment. So if you are driving or you're listening to this on the train or wherever you may be, we're going to take a moment to just check in and connect inwards. That if it's not the right space, you might like to come back to this at another point. We're also going to reflect on the year that was. We're going to take stock of where you are now. And it's about just checking in on your intention for the rest of 2024. You may like to set an intention. You might like to reset or just keep the one that you've had and just maybe connecting with that inner motivation and be really energized to take steps towards it. We're going to prepare you for the journey ahead. And so make sure that if you want to take notes, that you have a notebook handy, a glass of water, and that you're ready to go. So we're going to bring in some mindfulness at the beginning of this session. We're going to do a body scan. And so wherever you are, we're just going to take a moment to get nice and comfortable. If we're sitting in a seat, even if we're walking, we can still do this body scan as well. If you're laying down, wherever you are, get nice and comfortable. And begin by focusing on your breathing. As you turn inward, placing anything on your to-do list, or even if there's noise going on outside around you, let's turn it in. And if you feel comfortable, and if you're not driving, you can close your eyes when you're ready, or just take that soft gaze. And as you notice your breath going in, also notice it going out. Notice the rise of your tummy, the expansion of your rib cage. And then as you breathe out, allow everything to fall back into place. And we're going to begin the body scan at the top of your head. So noticing the top of your skull as you bring your awareness down through those eye sockets, Can you relax the back of those eyes just a little bit more? And as you pass through your cheekbones, your nose, your mouth, your jaw, can you relax your face just a little bit more? That's it. And as you travel down your neck, your shoulders, can you relax those just a little bit more? And as you travel down your arms, notice your elbows, your wrist, all the way to your fingertips. And as you travel back up, past that wrist, the elbows, the shoulders, start making your way down your rib cage, noticing the spine and its natural curves as you pass your internal organs. And as you make your way to that belly button, just notice the rise and fall of the trunk as you breathe. Making your way through your hips, your pelvis, down those thighs to your knees, all the way to your ankles. And passing through those ankles right out to the tips of your toes as they spread. And as you breathe in, just notice the expansion of your body and where it is in space. And as you let go of that breath, notice how everything falls back into place. And as you notice my voice, I'd like you to come back into your body, into the room, as you start wiggling those fingers, wiggling those toes. And when you're ready, you can open those eyes. Being aware of how that felt for you can be a good starting point to what you might need in this moment. Was that easy for you? Was that uncomfortable? Did you allow yourself to just stop and turn inward? There's no judgment in this session. It's more about noticing and becoming aware. And you might need to take a little sip of water, get your notebook and pen handy. You can go through this in that mental capacity if you're reflecting and you don't have anything in front of you. There may be moments where you might get little insights that we just want to stop and acknowledge throughout this session. So 2024, we're halfway through. There's lots of things that we can be considering about the last 6 months. And we're going to be guided by questions that you might find easier to go through on the slide, or I will do my best to walk you through it verbally. That if you think back to December, or even January, where you may have been setting your intentions for the year ahead, thinking about what you'd like to be doing and what steps you'd like to take forward. What were those intentions for 2024? Let's go back 6 months in time and just check in. Yeah, what was I thinking about the year ahead? And noticing where you've traveled along the last 6 months. What has gone well for you so far in 2024? What are the good things coming to mind for you? They can be small things. They can be also big things. Maybe there are a lot of things that you're having to reconnect with in the last 6 months. Yeah, where have I been? What have I done? Where was I in January, February, March, April, May, June? What's gone well so far? And what have you accomplished? What are those things that you can tick off your list? Maybe they are big things that you can cross right off, small things. It's good to notice what you have accomplished, that you've made it through the first 6 months of 2024. And if you need more time, make sure that you press pause to give you the space that you need and the reflection that you need as well. We're always going to have ups and downs in our life, in our day, and especially in the last 6 months. It's good to notice what went well and also those challenges that we've faced. So, what challenges have you experienced in 2024 so far? Where were those hard moments, the effort that needed to go in? And what has been your biggest challenge? Is there something coming to mind? Some type of change that you might have been through? Something that you've had to overcome? Change can happen unexpectedly. Sometimes we do expect it. Sometimes we know that change is coming. And it can be that really slow burning where we know that it's on the horizon. Maybe you had planned for something and it turned out to be that non-event where it didn't go as expected. It's good to notice the challenges that we've faced, but also identify the change that we've been through. Was it personally? Was it professionally? Was it collectively? We've all had a lot of uncertainty and unpredictability in the world, especially in the last 6 months. So what comes to mind for you about the challenges and the change that you've been through? When we go through change, it puts us in a transition. And a transition is more of that inner journey. So we've been through some type of change that is external to us, those moments in time. And then we go on this journey of this emotional ups and downs. And if you're looking at the screen, I have the Ross Kluber's grief cycle. And it's intertwined with the 3 stages that we can go through when we are in a transition. We have to go through an ending where the life that we once knew is no longer. It could be that long goodbye where we have to let something go, or maybe lots of things go. And we've also got stage 2, that is that transition. I call it the messy middle, that uncertainty. It's what we move through. Sometimes we don't know where we're headed. We're not sure which direction to go in, and it's about taking those steps forward. And then we get to the third stage, this new beginning, where we step into this new self. We may need to reinvent ourselves. We're reorientated. And there's a lot of feelings that can go through this cycle, that you may go in and out, you may jump from one to another. And especially if your change and this transition is viewed as positive or negative as well. So it's good to take in, where am I during this transition? Am I at the ending stage? Am I in that transition, that messy middle? Or am I stepping into this new beginning? There may be something that you're avoiding out of these three stages, or any of the emotional states, because it can be quite uncomfortable to change and transition through. Where there's so many different levels that we're learning about ourselves. And so the year so far, we're going to notice anything that maybe we did set an intention, we had goals that we wanted to achieve, and what has stopped you? There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be things that are going to get in your way. And what has stopped you from taking steps forward? And also, what has helped you? Life has been moving through the last 6 months. There are things that you have been doing. What has really helped you in the last 6 months? And as we reflect and gain hindsight, where we take that bigger picture view, we can often find those lessons that we've learned. So what is the biggest lesson that you've learned so far about yourself and your situation over the last 6 months? And as we've taken a bit of stock on the last 6 months, we're actually going to bring you back right here, because you are here in this moment, taking this time to stop, pause, reflect. And taking stock is about looking at yourself in all areas of your life, taking that snapshot of, this is where I am in this moment. And we're going to do it in 4 areas of our life: wellness, career, love, and play. And the scale that I use is 1, it's not so good, and 10 being amazing. When we look at each area and break them down individually, you may have done this in one of the past podcast episodes, and it's good to do this regularly, that it can change when we look at what love means for you in this moment today. What comes to mind for you about the word love? Is it people? Is it a place? Is it a thing? What does love mean to you? And where do you sit on the scale between 1 and 10? So 1 is not so good and 10 being amazing. Where do you place yourself today with love? Wellness. What does wellness or well-being mean to you? These areas can be quite big. So what comes to mind for you around wellness? Is there a focus for you? And where do you place yourself on the scale from 1 to 10? We move through career. What does career mean to you today? And where do you place yourself on the scale from 1 to 10? And the last area, play. What does play mean to you? And where do you place yourself on the scale from 1 to 10? Looking back or noticing the numbers that you have, out of those 4 areas, which one was the highest? Which one was the lowest? And which area would you like to place your focus on? We all wish that we could have everything in balance. It's more about creating that blend, that what's that main ingredient for you that you'd like to start closing the gap towards. There's usually someone that we want to become within ourselves, that the goal that we're striving towards, that person. So when we think about starting to close that gap, which area in your life would you like to be your focus? And I'm all about setting an intention first. So before you set any goals, before you take in any action, let's actually make sure that your intention is in the right place. That an intention is that inward approach, that it guides us in every moment, especially this present moment. It gives us direction. It helps us to know about how do I want to be, live, and feel each day? How do I want to show up in this world? It's about that inner motivation, and it can really center you in this journey that you're moving through, this transition. The goals, the opportunity, the actions, they're all outward driven, where the intention is inward. When we think about setting goals, they're more outcome focus. The actions are what we do each day, and the opportunities are what are presented and drawn in based on the intentions we set and the actions that we take. So let's really ground you in how you want to show up every day, the energy that you want to bring to each moment. And I like doing that by creating a one-word intention. You may have been in the reflect and prepare at the beginning of the year. You may have already set yourself an intention. And let's just check in around for the rest of 2024. How would you like to show up? What is this theme that you want to be in alignment with? It can be the same theme that you've had at the beginning of the year. You might like to set a new one because we change. You might notice that you have grown as a person in the last 6 months, and it's okay to change our goals. It's okay to change our actions, and mainly that intention about how do you want to show up for the next 6 months. So considering all the areas of our life where your focus would like to be, is there a word coming to mind for you if we could sum everything up into one word about how you'd like to show up for the rest of 2024? Do you already have a word coming to mind? Take note of that inspiration, of anything that's really resonating for you. You might have a couple, which is okay as well. We're going to do a little bit of brainstorming. And if you are looking at the screen, there's lots of different ways that we can start to ponder about what's that word that I'd like to bring in as my intention. And on the screen, we've got lots of things that may stand out to you. The word confidence, clarity, dream, awaken, compassion, feeling alive, inspired, truth, honesty. There's lots that may not be on this page as well. So which word is coming to mind for you? You might like to do a brainstorm where you check in. What does this word mean to me? If we place it in the center of our page and we let this curiosity and this brainstorm around what this word means to me, can allow you to possibly even create another word and bring together what it is, this feeling that you'd like to connect with. So with that word that you're considering, what does it mean to you? And what is it about this word? Is there a bit of a story about this word for you in this moment that you'd like to set as this theme for the next 6 months? And how would this word, if you showed up every day with this intention, how would it bring you closer to that person that you're becoming when we start taking actions and setting goals? How would this bring you closer and start closing the gap to who you'd like to become? Do you know who you'd like to become? But we're going to now put this into a sentence that when we put it into words, when we write it down, when we give ourselves this direction to focus on, we're making a promise and a commitment to ourselves. So spend some time thinking about, what is that word? Have I done the checks and it resonates? It means something to me. Because when you finish this sentence, we want you to have that feeling within you that you've got that inner motivation, you've got that energy. This word encapsulates how you'd like to show up every single day. So the sentence is, my intention for the rest of 2024 is. You may need to bring in another couple of words to create a proper sentence. And for me, my word is authenticity. So my intention for the rest of 2024 is to be authentic. We're going to add on, we're going to find out, well, why is this important with these statements, so that when we know why it's important and what it is about this word, this is where we connect a little bit deeper. And so for me, that despite what's going on out there, the so that is that I know who I am. I know where I'm headed and what's important to me. So how would you finish off your sentence with so that? We've talked about intentions. We've hopefully got you set up with your theme. You might like to try your theme on for a couple of days as well, a couple of weeks, and see if that's resonating for you. You might like to display your intention on sticky notes. You might like to make it as your screensaver. You might like to have it somewhere where you look every day, on the fridge, place it on a mirror, on your laptop. What is a way that you can be reminded of your intention every day? Sometimes I write it on a piece of paper and I put it in my purse and go, oh, what's this bit of paper? Or in the center console of the car. There's lots of ways that you can connect with your intention. And what I've got on the screen now is the big dreams. So we've set our intention. Now we're going to look at the big picture, the long-term goals, our dreams, our plans for the future, our vision, whatever you call it. That, have you thought further than the next 12 months, the next 5 years, the next 10 years? Where is that big dream for you? We've been through COVID, the pandemic. We've had lots of financial instability with the economic circumstances. We've had wars. We've been through lots of challenges individually. And our dreams may have shifted. We may have stopped dreaming. We may have forgotten our dream. So I'm allowing you to give yourself that permission to dream again, to connect with that vision for the future and to wonder, what is possible? Do you have a big dream? When we think about it, it's one thing. When we say it out loud, it's another. When we write it down, when we bring it to life, it's amazing what we can do towards that longer term goal and how we're guided by these actions that we want to take. So as you connect to this bigger dream of yours, I wonder where you are in relation to the end, that we all have to start somewhere, that we go through a process, a journey. to achieve that goal. And our intention is how we want to show up each and every day. So if we think about where you are along your journey towards that big dream, that longer term goal, where are you? It's good to know where you are at if we are to draw a line on a piece of paper with the beginning point. So where am I starting from and where would I like to head? Where would you place yourself along the continuum? You may be further along than you thought, or you may be at the very beginning. And to get from where you are now to where you want to be, we will need to break it down into more manageable steps. We can't just take that one giant leap. It's going to take lots of little steps along the way. Yet just taking that big picture view can show you where you are, how far you've already come, and to give you that visual representation of, well, in the next 6 months, where would I like to be? And you might like to mark that along your line. That in the next 6 months, we're then going to break it down into even smaller steps. So we're starting to look at those short-term goals as well as that long-term goal, because that long-term goal gives you direction to head in. Those short-term goals gives you more manageable steps. And we want you to be really curious. We want you to keep taking those steps forward. If you're feeling really stuck and lost, we may have stopped taking steps forward. We may not sure where to begin. And sometimes it is about taking those fumbles and seeing where we land, throwing that dirt and seeing where it sticks. So let's get really curious. And as children, we're naturally curious and we seek out information. And as adults, we sometimes forget. So I'm here to remind you that if we have that longer term goal, that dream that we're heading towards, and we break it down into where do I want to be in 6 months by the end of next year, now your focus is what can I do in the next 3 hours, in the next 3 days, in the next 3 weeks, and we're going to bring it down to those small steps. If you are someone who needs to focus on what can I do in the next 3 hours, to give yourself that positive reinforcement by ticking something off that list and actually taking those steps forward. It can be really micro steps. Maybe it's something in the next 3 days. And definitely within the next 3 weeks, because usually if we set something even further than that, we're most likely not going to do it. So let's keep this manageable. Let's keep this so that we actually take those steps forward, we gain that momentum, we build our confidence. So is there something, if we remember our intention that we've set, our focus on which area of our life that we'd like to begin with, is there something that you can observe, visit, listen to? Maybe there's someone that you can talk to. Is there something that you can write? Are you a journaler? Is there an email that needs to be sent, a message? Is there something that you can read? Have you got a dusty book sitting next to your bed or in that bookshelf that needs to be read to help you along this journey, give you more information? Is there something that you need to Google? Do you need to use ChatGPT? And what is it that you're going to do? What are those action steps that you're going to take towards that person that you want to become? So I wonder what step comes to mind, because we will go a little bit into more detail in the coming slides. But for now, what is that one step that's coming to mind? Usually when we think about taking steps forward, there's a part of us that naturally happens that resists. That when we think about changing, when we're thinking about doing things a little bit out of our comfort zone, there's going to be obstacles that get in our way. It could be an internal obstacle. It could be an external obstacle. And we want to prepare you for the challenges that you will face. The reality is we go through highs and lows, as you've noticed over the last 6 months. In our day, there can be highs and lows. And also in this process of becoming the person that we want to be. So what's going to get in your way? Let's prepare for them. We're going to notice 3 things. They can be usual that might get in the way. Or if you think about the next 6 months, maybe there is something on your calendar that you know will get in your way. And what are they? What are the 3 things? Do you sometimes revert to, I don't have enough time, I'm too busy, that the job that I do takes too much of my energy, that I have no motivation? Is it that internal obstacles that will get in the way, or is it something external that you physically have to be somewhere? So I wonder what's coming to mind for you about 3 things that might get in your way. Is it money? Is it time? Is it about priorities? Because we want to counteract those obstacles and list 3 ways that if it is time, what can I do about that? Can I reframe the way that I think about time? Can I be really creative about how I set my time management, my priority management? Is there something that I can do about my self-management, the thoughts, the feelings, the behaviors that I do every day to counteract those obstacles? If it is that you have a full calendar, how can you still focus on that particular area, show up in that way that you want to show up every day and counteract those obstacles? So you'll list 3 things that get in your way, and you'll also have 3 strategies that you can use to counteract those little reminders that we can work our way through anything and around anything. One way that a lot of people naturally might gravitate to or forget are our strengths. And those are the things that we do well. They come naturally to us. They're our natural talents and abilities. People might comment on the things that we are doing well, and we notice that we're doing things well, that we feel more engaged, more successful, more confident. Knowing our strengths helps us understand, what am I really good at when I'm at my best? They are helpful in our career and life to make us feel successful and engaged, because it boosts our confidence and it makes us feel really good using our strengths. And that's what we want more, that positive reinforcement, creating those positive habits. And by identifying your top 3 to 5 strengths is another way that we can counteract those obstacles. If you've been in a reflect and prepare session before or done this mid-year review, I'm now shuffling my strength cards. That we can pull different types of strengths. And if I go to the next slide as well, got lots of words on the screen, that lots of different strengths like wisdom, practical, realistic, caring, creative. Maybe you're really empathetic. Maybe you're really optimistic. Maybe you're really honest, hopeful. What are your strengths? Is there any coming to mind? As I finish shuffling my cards, I'm going to pull 3 of them, and feel free to take these if they really resonate for you. Maybe there's also a strength that you'd like to develop. So when we think about our top 3 strengths, I'm going to pull one of the cards. And what's come up is change maker. Is your strength to be a change maker? Is it about being trustworthy? That's the second strength. And the third one is ambitious. So change maker, trustworthy, and ambitious. Would you like to take any of those strengths? Do they resonate with you? Is this what you need along this next 6-month journey? Because we want you to feel really confident. We want you to feel confident about your next steps. We want you to feel confident that it's really important that for you to take these next steps. And when we think about the focus area in your life, we want you to feel really successful and to close the gap and become the person that you've always wanted to be. So when we write our next steps, we begin with I will. So you're making that commitment to yourself. You're going to keep it realistic. If you like a good SMART goal, you can keep it within those parameters, but keep it nice and simple. So for instance, for me, about being authentic and showing up with authenticity, I've chosen to spend 3 minutes each day connecting to myself. I might do that journaling, I might meditate, maybe I'll put away the technology, maybe I'll go out in nature, but I'm going to take those 3 mindful minutes. And so my sentence is, I will spend 3 minutes each day connecting to myself. Nice and simple. I wonder what your next step may be. Because how important is it for you to complete this next step? When you've got your sentence down, you want to ask yourself that question. How important is it for you to complete it? The more important it is, the more that you'll complete it in the next 3 hours, the next 3 days, the next 3 weeks. So we want that number to be as close to 10 as possible. Between 7 and 10 means that it's really important. If you're sitting at about a 1, it's not so important. And how confident are you that you'll successfully achieve this next step? Confidence builds as we take each step. We want your confidence to sit about 7 out of 10 for this one as well. And how are you going to celebrate when you achieve this small win? Will you note it down? Will you let someone in your support system know? Will you give yourself a high five? What is it that you can do to celebrate? Because those small wins are important to acknowledge. The more that we acknowledge them, the more positive feelings we have about them, the more likely we're going to keep taking steps forward. And so we want them to be achievable. We want them to be important. And we want to build your confidence. So as we come to the end of the Reflect and Prepare mid-year review for 2024, you have taken time to connect to yourself, to think about the last 6 months and where you've been, the highs, the lows, the lessons that you've learned, where you are in your transition journey. You've thought about that intention and how you'd like to show up in the world. You're going to think really creatively about how you're going to remind yourself of this next 6 months intention. You've connected in with your big dream. What is that long-term goal that you're working towards? You're breaking it down. You know where you are in your journey. You're going to make it more manageable with the next step that you have created. And you're going to tap into those strengths that you have learned about yourself today. What superpowers can I bring to each and every moment? I'd love to hear how this session went for you. So feel free to reach out on email, on socials. If you would like to let me know how you're traveling along, how this session went for you. I love hearing the feedback, your stories, and what's resonated for you. And thank you for taking the time to stop, pause, and reflect. And I look forward to supporting you in the next episode and also in the next Reflect and Prepare. Before you know it, we'll be looking ahead to 2025. So enjoy the next 6 months. Thank you again for listening. Your support is amazing. And just in case no one's told you lately, you are amazing. So make sure you share this podcast episode and also on YouTube with someone who's looking for some career inspiration and maybe need to reflect and prepare for the rest of 2024. And together, we'll navigate this journey as you find your way, rediscover yourself, and focus on taking the next meaningful step in your career.